Hmm.
Failing forward is all about using failure as a stepping stone to move in a new direction. That's a quote by John C. Maxwell. And our guest today, Willem Gous, is going to talk about direction and consistency and how that pays off in your journey after failure. Welcome, Willem.
Hi, Louise. Thank you for having me. I look forward to our conversation.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Willem Gous is an entrepreneur, and in his business, The Human Entrepreneur, he takes unemployed people in townships. He helps them develop the right mindset, mental fitness, and rhythm of success to start a profitable business with customers without external funding in just 5 weeks. Wow. He's on a
Hmm.
mission to make entrepreneurship accessible to everyone through a uniquely human-centered approach that quickly shifts mindsets. That sounds fascinating. Do you want to just tell us briefly a little bit more about that?
Yes, so basically, I developed a recipe for job creation because the work that I do is applicable in any business, industry, or sector because I shift mindsets. And the great thing about shifting people's mindset is you're renewing the person. So the training and the work that I do is almost irreversible. For you to stop doing or being that new person that you are, you have to make a conscious decision to regress to a previous version of yourself that not necessarily delivered the results that you require in life. So it's quite fun, and I enjoy it, and it's fulfilling work because you truly touch people's lives.
Oh, maybe you need to give me some tips on my entrepreneurial journey.
I'm glad to anytime.
So, Willem, can you share with us a small mistake or a small failure that you've experienced in your life?
Well, it was actually quite a large one. So, and it was, so there's a lot of 2020 lockdown stories out there, I believe. But the day before lockdown, my son and I moved out of the house, fresh out of the divorce, had some debt and everything else. My speaking career got cancelled. And because in South Africa, only 4% of men get custody of their children. I really focused on that and I neglected my business. And I had one customer left and they paid me for work just before I moved. So I had money to move, but I didn't have money for the end of the month. So when lockdown started, the first day, I had to start building a new business. I had to start from fresh and go, okay, cool. How can I be out of debt, have cash in the bank, and live a better life with my son? And I had a 2-year plan to achieve that. And I actually achieved it in 6 months.
So, what were some of the tricks and techniques you used to achieve that?
Everything that I teach, I think on some level I'm different than many speakers that I have met. I refuse to teach anything if I haven't lived it. I haven't lived and proven it myself, I won't teach it. So I'm not just a book smart speaker. I am actually, I go and test it. And if it works in my life, I go, maybe you should try this as well. So if you look at, especially the work that I do, if you look at South Africa has the highest unemployment rate in the world. We're number one, okay, in something. But if you listen to the language that people use, they always complain about what they don't have. And it's always shocking for me that people are trying to build a better future with bricks that do not exist. So they're trying to build something out of nothing. Instead, people should use the bricks that they do have. I don't know if you have children. I have a kid, and I don't know if you've seen ankle biters. But if you give a kid a box of play blocks, let's say Lego blocks, do the child turn to you and go like, "Hi, Willem, where are the instructions?" No, they build a house, they build a plane, they build a rocket, they build whatever the case may be. But as adults, I found we go, "Ooh, but what should I do? I don't have anything." While you're sitting with a box of play blocks in front of you. So I looked at my life and I reflected back on a process that I developed during my research for my dissertation for my master's degree in 2014. My dissertation focused on innovation, and I came to the shocking realization that you can't innovate a business because a business is like this glass, it's just an empty container. It's people who make a business. And I can take them through an innovative process, but if the people aren't innovative, nothing's really going to happen. And that's when I developed the process back in 2014, being a personal development junkie. How do I innovate a human being? How can I get a 20-year-old graphic designer, a 55-year-old guy who does a trade, a lawyer, and a single parent to work together, co-create together, and do things in a productive, workable way? And I cracked that nut back then. But I never paid much attention to that. Now, when I sat there, like the kid with the Lego blocks, I looked, okay, what Lego blocks do I have? How can I build this better future together? And I have this process, and I looked at it and thought, okay, let's apply it to my own life. So I started doing the work, and we couldn't meet people. You couldn't go out. You remember the ridiculousness of what life was back then. And I looked at it and go like, okay, another Lego block that I have is I have 7,000 connections on LinkedIn. So I started simply and go like, hey, I emailed a few people. I emailed 4,000 of those 7,000 connections. And I typed a message individually. I was like, but the basic gist of it was, hey, Louise, how you doing? Life is very sucky nowadays. Is there anything you're doing that I can help you with? This is what I'm doing. If you know of anybody who might need it, please introduce me to them. And I just sat there 3-4 hours a day. Bum, 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 bum. And eventually somebody said to me, Willem, I think there's a CEO I worked with on an event that might be interested in this work. What are you doing? I'm like, okay, cool. And they introduced me. And I remember it was a Friday morning, 5:00. That CEO emailed me and copied their whole team in and said, I can't wait to meet you. This is exactly the stuff that we've been looking for a very long time. So that's how the ball started rolling with that. And it is about doing the work and being consistent, but also looking what you have, especially when you're in a hole. When you fail, we tend to focus and have a mental tunneling on the things that are not working. But if there's one thing that I love to live according to is the yin and the yang. Life is always in balance. You will always have equal amount of support and challenge in life. So always look at what do you have? What support do you have? Instead of just looking what you don't. And I think that's one of the biggest things you can take away from this.
I love that, that we do tend to focus on the negative rather than on what we do have. So you were talking about these building bricks or these Lego bricks that we have, one of them being your connections. What are some of the other bricks that we could have in our toy box?
Oh, that's a very good question. So many times we think that a skill or a piece of knowledge that I have in one area of life is not applicable anywhere else. I always tell people, if you're a parent and you ever had 2 teenagers in the house at the same time, you are a world expert at conflict resolution and you can build for that. And that's a skill you can use somewhere else. If you look at longest mountain bike race I did was 8 days and 1,000 kilometers. Longest hike I've ever done in my life was 330 kilometers. It took me 14 and a half days. But the thing is it takes planning, it takes dedication, it takes goal setting, but also strategy when you're busy with that, especially in the hike. It was in desert conditions, it's a good way to die if you wanted to do that because there's nobody near you. So you had to be strategic about everything. And then even those skills that I applied in the hike and the mountain bike race, I can apply in business and I can apply in other areas of life. So don't think what you learned and have experience in is only applicable in your personal life. It's always applicable in business as well. So that's a good building block that you can take a look at. And remember the old saying of 6 degrees of separation. You're always 6 people away from anybody else. But nowadays with LinkedIn, I think it's more down to 3 degrees of separation, getting smaller and quicker.
I found I'm actually 2 degrees away from King Charles.
No, love that. Yeah. And the important thing about that is whatever you need, if it's an opportunity, if it's an opinion, if it's knowledge, if it's a piece of equipment, if it's a business opportunity, somebody in your network has it. Somebody has it. And just, you know what? Classic. Just pick up the phone and go like, hey, bud, how you doing? How might we? And
So
those are very important blocks.
Can you share one of the skills that you gained on either your hiking or your cycling that you can transfer into business?
Yes, especially in hiking. You have to be strategic every day. And especially in the mountain bike, because if you stuff it up, if you push too hard on day 2, and you go too hard on, you do something else and you're not eating enough or something like that, day 4 or 5, that'll hit you. It'll catch up with you very quickly. So it's about being consistent in the face of what's happening. And that's a very important skill in business as well. If you're not consistent, irrespective of what's happening outside of that, it's not going to work. But that's a skill that I transferred from that, but also the planning and the training. I mean, that was on a mountain bike race. We climbed 15,000 meters over the 8 days. So you had to be very fit to go and do it. So it was consistent training, 6 days a week. And you had to be disciplined on that. And if you can train and get your body fit, you can do the same thing and get your business fit.
So in hiking, what happens? You've planned to hike 20 kilometers on a particular day. You twist your ankle and you only do 10 kilometers that day. How do you overcome that?
That's a very good question. You have to make a go, no-go decision there as well. Be prepared to walk away. Although you've planned this and it's so far and you've spent so much money, be prepared to walk away. That's number 1. Number 2, don't try to catch it up in one day. Now you're 10K short. Split that over 10 days. Have an extra kilometer a day. Because your body, if you're going to the next day do 30 kilometers, you're going to hurt your body even more. And what you can also do there is maybe the next day, instead of doing 20, you do 15. And the next day, you do 17. And the next day, to give your ankle some time to rest as well.
And what
so
about...
I think a good lesson out of that would be kind to yourself.
And what about support?
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by support?
Well, you've twisted your ankle or
Mm-hmm.
you've hit some roadblock in your job. Where can you find support, or how can you get support, or should you get support?
Well, and specifically with that hike, because we were down in a canyon, you didn't have permanent satellite phone reception. You only had a small window when the satellites came over. And if you were close to a farmhouse where there might or might not be somebody, it would have been 2 or 3 hours of 4x4 to get there. So whatever the case may be, it's going to take a long time. But help it's your choice. Luckily, I had a group. Although we were 11, only 3 of us actually finished the total distance. The other 9 got injured along the way, quite badly, 1 or 2 of them. And it's about boiling it back in again to that strategy. How consistent are you? Are you listening to what's happening? Are you paying attention, looking at the system? Because I did that whole hike without one blister, not one single blister. And that's an important thing. And that shows I was paying attention to this.
I want to go back to the support. So if you're on your own, let's go back to business rather than the hiking. If you're working on your own and you hit this roadblock, you have this fall, you have this mistake or failure, where can you get support, and how can you get support?
The one most important thing is to talk about it, number one. One thing I found with people when they hit a roadblock or something like that, many people shut up and they tell nobody. And psychologically, that can send you into a spiral. And that can lead to a depression and everything else. So help and support, number one, talk to people. Talk to people in what you're doing, not necessarily to your husband, wife, or kids, or anything else, because maybe they're dependent on you, and then that might create a feeling of insecurity and everything else. Go and find people who do not agree with you. So if you look at my friends that I surround myself with, few of them agree with me on many things. And that's a great thing because they always bring a fresh perspective. They're always pushing me to see something else that I might not be seeing, so that I'm not stuck in an echo chamber. So when you reach out for help, be careful of people who agree with you. Be careful of people who support you in your struggle. Like, oh, I know this is tough. Yes. And no. You need somebody that'll go, I understand what you're going through. How might we get you out of this? And that's an important thing. So reach out to people in the same environment. Talk about this. Right. I had this morning at 3:00 a 40-minute conversation with a friend in another country, and just simply talking about something, they came to their own conclusion. So there's a lot of value in just talking. And if you don't have people like that, get a good mentor or coach, especially if you have a good coach. That'll hold the space for you to unpack what's going on inside.
Okay, so to prevent the failures, it's all about your strategy and your planning and your goal setting. And to overcome the failure, if you do make a failure, it's about the support. It's about looking for your other bricks, your other
use what you have. Yeah.
To use what you have. Any other techniques or tips that you might have?
I'm very wary of the word failure when people say, well, at least you learned something. And I go, no. I found if I listen to the language that most people use, I'd say the bulk of people never learn from a failure. Because learning from a failure is a conscious decision to learn something about it. Because to learn from failure, I have to get honest with myself. So my son, he's 14, but even from a young age, I said to him, Christian, the difference between a good leader and a bad leader. A bad leader, when something goes wrong, they look outside the window looking for somebody to point to blame. A good leader walks to the mirror and he looks at himself. And a lot of people don't have the courage to look at themselves. Because is everything your fault that goes wrong in your business and in your life? No, absolutely not. Is it your responsibility? 100%. It's your responsibility. So make a choice and a decision to learn from it and take responsibility for it. Take responsibility for the results that you got. Because if you blame external circumstances, you will be stuck there for a very long time.
So you're saying you can learn from your mistakes as long as you're going and looking in the mirror rather than outside.
Take 100% responsibility and accountability for your life, although not everything is your fault.
So many of our mistakes are forced on us by external circumstances, but yes, you can do something about it.
The only control I have is me. I can't control them. I wish. That'll be nice. Remote control, but that doesn't exist. Because remember, that works both ways. Somebody's going to control you. But yes, make that conscious decision. And if you listen to the languaging from a lot of people, you being a coach, me doing business coaching and mentorship as well, you can quickly pick up on somebody's language, what's happening inside. Are they taking accountability and the responsibility for that?
Earlier on, you spoke about transferring skills from one area of your life to another. Can you give me some examples of some of these skills that are transferable?
Yeah, so like I said, the strategic thinking and everything else that goes with it. There's something else as well that I'm testing in the market, and if it doesn't work in the bedroom, it doesn't work in the boardroom, because everything boils down to a relationship. Now, if you think, imagine you and I go on a date, Louise, and we meet for the first time. Oh, I like that smile. I'm selling well. And I go like, Louise, I am the bee's knees. I am the most beautiful man you will ever meet. I am so good. I'm so beautiful. I'm good in all areas of life. Are you going to hang around or call the waiter to bring the check so that you can leave? You're going to leave quickly. But that's how most people sell their businesses. That's how they approach their customers. And then I think, I don't know why people aren't buying, because you're not connecting with the other human being. So whatever skills you learn in business, you can apply in dating, and whatever you learn in dating, you can apply in there. Because if you can't approach somebody and go like, hey, Louise, I just noticed you there. Very interesting. I love the color that you're wearing. What made you choose that today? And then start a conversation and meet with it and connect with it. Now, if you can't do that in a personal relationship or even an intimate relationship that you want to cultivate, you're not going to be able to do that in business. So yeah, I use my dating game to improve my business and my business to improve my dating game.
And they're both going well, are they?
Apparently. Some say.
Yeah, communication actually fixes everything. Judith E. Glaser always says, words create worlds. And if we can get our words right and we can communicate effectively, we're halfway to solving all of our problems.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that, but because communication is how we share perspectives and everything else. But one thing that always stands out for me is what we look at and what we see are two different things. I could put a policeman in front of a group of people. Some people will feel safe. Some people will feel unsafe. Some people will feel angry. That guy is doing nothing. He's just standing there. You're projecting all of that stuff, and it's having an awareness of, this is what I see. What are they seeing? And the important things there, and I've again coming back to, if it doesn't work in the boardroom, it doesn't work in the bedroom, vice versa, is people consistently try to be interesting, try to get interested. And that is the key to communication. That's why I can walk up to a person, usually a woman, in a shopping, in a shop, and go like, wow, that's interesting. Why did you choose that cheese? What made you choose that? And then 30-40 minute conversation later, I know their running schedule, what they do, what challenges they have in their life. And it was because I was curious. I was interested in instead of trying to be interesting. And that's the mistake. And people love, ask yourself, when last did somebody listen to you, Louise? And when last did you listen to somebody outside of a coaching conversation? Usually we just listen to respond and not listen to be curious.
So have you considered starting a dating tips channel?
Well, maybe, but I have more of a face for radio than for television. So I'll reserve
great.
this for a select few.
All right. So one of the skills we can transfer is basically communication and general interest.
And connection.
Connection. Any others that you can think of?
Oh, there's so many. You can almost think of anything. If you're a parent and you run a proper successful household, the kids are happy, everything's running and everything. That is exactly the management skill you need to run a business. Exactly the same thing. Because it's management, it's planning, it's execution, it's measurement. Everything that we do as a parent prepares us to be a good business owner.
All right, so let's go back to failure. One of your kids fails an exam. Something happens, you burnt the roast and you've got your bosses coming for dinner and you've burnt the roast. Those kind of failures. How do you overcome those failures?
So simple is to step into it. And especially if the boss comes over and I'm like, hey, dude, this happened because of that. So I ordered some takeaways in for us. Have a seat. I'll get some wine. Is to stop denying what happened. Because people think, but they're going to be upset. No. People connect with imperfect people. People can't connect with perfect people. And it's about recognizing and accepting the imperfection and loving that part of yourself as well. And if somebody doesn't want to accept that, maybe they shouldn't be in my world. That guy come, yeah, but I'm here for a roast. You know, he got me that. Kobus, maybe we shouldn't be doing business. There we go.
Okay, and a situation where either one of your team members or your child ends up failing on a task, failing on a project.
Yeah, very much so. So one thing that I do with my child, but as well, I have a handful of interns that work with me. This is what I expect of them, but also they set their own level of performance. And if they don't achieve that, I'm like, okay, cool. What did you miss doing? What did you not do? How did you contribute to this? And how might we shift that going forward? So especially with my son, I'm a big fan. I never, like he's bringing home 95, 98% for certain subjects. But sometimes he hits an 85. And I go like, hey, are you happy with that? And he goes like, yeah, I'm happy. I go like, then I'm happy too. Or he says, I'm not happy. I'm like, wow, okay. How did you contribute to that? What did you not do? And then he says, you know what? I didn't do that. And I did. Cool. So how might you not skip that next time? And help people self-reflect and error correct.
So that is also part of the learning, that self-reflection, understanding what went wrong and why, and asking those questions.
And putting the control in their hands, teaching them that you created this. Whatever you created, you can uncreate. Because your thinking and your actions create the results that you get.
Great. Any other tips or advice for people who are struggling? They've hit a roadblock, they're battling to overcome it.
The most important thing is there's a few rules. If you're in a hole, number one rule, stop digging. Okay. Stop making it worse.
How do you
Number
know?
two,
How do you know if it's time to stop digging or not?
a friend of mine went through a vicious divorce, and it was just getting worse and worse every day. And he said, I'm not taking action. And I said to him, yeah, you won't, because it's not hurting enough. And he said, this is really, it's destroying my business. I said, yeah, but it's not hurting enough. And 2 weeks later, something happens. And usually we get to a situation where we go like, I've had enough. And it happens for every person. But whatever happens, wherever you are, number one golden rule, be kind to yourself. Okay? The world, everything's going wrong. You don't need somebody else inside hammering away, insulting you, screaming at you, having toxic self-talk. Don't do that. Be kind to yourself. I start every morning with a gratitude list. Sometimes I journal. And if I journal, the first sentence I write is, Willem, I love you. And I always ask people, when you get home today, go and stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself you love you. Let me know how it feels. And let me tell you, 9 out of 10 people come back like, it felt weird. I said, yes, but now you're expecting somebody else to love you. If you can't be kind to yourself, how can somebody else be kind to you? So start being kind to yourself and self-care and understand. Treat yourself with love, kindness, empathy, and understanding. That's the most important thing in dealing with failure.
I still want to know, when is it time to say enough is enough and to walk away from the situation?
No, everybody has their thing. Your gut will tell you. Your gut will tell you.
So often people say, oh, if I just stuck it out another 3 months, I would have turned the corner.
That's a prediction. It's not based in fact. So no. And again, the power of letting go. Like I said, if you get injured in that situation, is to say, yeah, maybe I should not continue. And stepping up and letting go of those things.
There's so many memes and blogs and what have you on never give up. So where does that fit in?
Yeah, let me not. I was about to do some sign language on that statement. Yeah, give up. I'm a big fan of giving up. So even if you look at my work in townships where I get people to build profitable businesses in 5 weeks. So we have a 4-week practical where they have to build a business. It's not like you're going to teach you to know that you're going to build a business. And most people will start and kill multiple businesses during that time. Somebody will come to class and say, I tried that, it didn't work. And we go like, yay, what are you going to do? I'm going to kill the business. And then we celebrate. Yeehaw! Kill business. Okay, now you've killed it. What's the new one? They're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Nice. And then maybe 2 days later, come back, nah, that didn't work either. Yeah, celebrate. Yeah, kill that business. It's just a business. We hold on to so many things. And hold on to yourself. Put yourself as your, I like that. I learned it from somebody else. I didn't come up with this. Make yourself your own mental point of origin. Start thinking from yourself first. Because
What
is
are you
this serving
passionate?
me?
But you're passionate about your project. You're passionate about your business, and it's
Mm.
not working just yet. Do you
So,
give up? Do you walk away, or do
yes,
you re-strategize and just take?
absolutely. Walk away from it. So, I always compare it again. Business and relationships are the same thing. If you're stuck in an abusive relationship and you're trying and trying and it's not working, walk away. All of us have walked away from a poisonous relationship. Okay. And your life is much better as a result today, isn't it, Louise? And your life is much better when you walk away from a crap business. You can pick it up again later on, but if it's abusing you, if it's robbing you of your sanity, your money, your time, and your health, maybe not. Maybe this is not the relationship I should be in. And that's why a lot of people have abusive relationships with their businesses. And I say, no, you shouldn't. It's a relationship. I am serving the business and the business must serve me. If that does not occur, I'm in an abusive relationship and I'm going to draw the short straw.
So comparing the business and the relationship, what makes people stick in either? If you're in a bad relationship or a bad business, what makes people stay?
In most cases, biases, and because I've put in so much, we've been together for 5 years. You know what? It was a good first 3 years, but the last 2 years were horrible. I'm sure we can start something else, get something new. And same with the business. People don't hold on to those things. Let it go. And that's why they're holding on to how much time I've put into this and how much this. And I understand it. You're human. But we need to start asking yourself, is this serving me? That's a very good question. Is this serving me and where I want to be? If you go like, get rid of it.
How long should one give? You spoke about 3 years into a marriage was going well, and then the last 2 years were bad. At what point do you say enough is enough? After 3.5 years? Do you wait the 5 years?
It's your choice. That's the ambiguity of life. And that's a difficult thing. I can't give that to you. If I did and you followed it, you are putting the control into my hands and you're going to blame me that, but Willem said I should do this and now I did it. And then you're like, yeah, because you didn't take responsibility and accountability for your life. Go inside, ask yourself, is this serving me and where I want to be? If not, move on. It's your decision. And that's the key thing again. Accountability and responsibility. Instead of going, yeah, but they, and if somebody comes to me, sad story, but my partner did this and this. Okay, cool. What was your role in that? No, I did nothing. Excuse me. Yin and yang. It's always a reflection of one to the other. So start taking accountability. I take accountability for my role in my failed businesses and my failed relationships and everything else. I fully take accountability. Was it easy? No. Was it fun? Double no. Did it serve me better? Absolutely. Am I a better person today as a result of it? Absolutely. I love this guy.
So you say it wasn't fun, but is there an opportunity to find the joy, to find the funny, to find the humor in a failed situation?
No, absolutely. I think as South Africans, we're geared towards that. The most horrible, atrocious accidents and things will happen in South Africa. 2 days, and the jokes will start coming out. And that's how we deal with it. And laughing at yourself is something like, you know what, I was an ass there. That was a stupid thing. You're like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Such a true statement. You said it's amazing how quickly those memes come out after, especially a politician makes a mistake.
Yeah, but you can have a horrible human accident and situation, and even that's how South Africans deal with trauma. Because I think if you look at the history of South Africa, right through from the Boer War to everything else to the apartheid and everything, that's how we deal with tough things. And it's nice to look back and go like, yeah, I can't believe I did that. I made that decision. And just chuckle at yourself, not mockingly. Okay, don't rip yourself to pieces. Don't be that guy. Love
So you spoke,
and compassion to yourself. Always love and compassion.
So you spoke about digging yourself out the hole, loving and having compassion for yourself. Anything else on top of that?
You know what? One thing that I've learned, and I think you probably went through it, so many of these situations, it feels as if we're going to die. And usually we don't die. We go forward. It's not as bad as you think it is. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes you think that light is a freight train, and it feels that way. But it won't kill you. There's very few things in life that we feel that will kill us that will actually do that. I've seen people rebuild from some of the worst situations. And that's part of being human. It's the journey of life.
It's about asking yourself the question, what is the worst thing that could happen? No, I'm not going to die.
No, I'm going to live tomorrow. And if I don't have food in the house, I'm sure the neighbor has a sandwich. Let's make a plan.
There's some very interesting insights there, Willem. Thank you so much. How can people reach you?
Thank you for that. So reach out to me on LinkedIn, Willem Gous, the Human Entrepreneur. If you want to see my work, go and look at thehumanentrepreneur.org, thehumanentrepreneur.org. That's the best thing. You can see my work in action there. And if you want to support it, please. We're always looking for donors and sponsors and corporates who want to run programs that we can do that.
It's fantastic, the work that you're doing. I applaud you for doing that. It is so needed, and it's so worthwhile. So thank you for that. I will put your email in the description below.
Thank you.
So everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Remember that you can contact me. I can give you a free 30-minute discussion on taking the first steps in finding your feet after some kind of a mishap or failure or mistake or roadblock, can help you get unstuck. So please do contact Willem, contact myself, and please do go and look at the other videos that we have on the channel here. We have videos, other live videos, experts sharing their stories. We have my Mission Mojo, which is me talking about some of my physical mishaps and mayhem that I've had in my life. So there's a lot to experience on the channel. So please do subscribe and do join the videos.
And like this video.
And like this video. Thank you, Willem. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Louise.